May 10th, 2001. It's 10:37 in the morning. I'm here with Russ Georgiev, Bill Nerdlinger in the center, and over to the right here is John Martino. Phyllis Carroll is here as an observer, and we have IDs here to film so that I know who is who. And John. Okay, and we're here to talk about various aspects of cheating in poker. And am I right to assume that all of you have been insiders at one time or another as far as cheating in poker?
Yes. Correct. Well, a player would need to know that the higher he plays, the more apt he is to get cheated. The biggest games are always being cheated. They may not be cheated all the time, but there's 100% factor that they are being cheated regularly. Since I started playing poker from day one, I have learned you cannot play honestly and get to the highest level here. The question is, who is clean today? You're asking the wrong question. You're saying who is clean. Why don't you ask who is not? Who is clean? The cheating element is basically like the mafia. You're never supposed to say anything. It's like never wise up a sucker.
Who were you able to deal with when you were cheating?
When I was cheating, I dealt with when I worked with the dude.
Yes.
We had the foreman. Chip Reese was there at the time. Eric Drake was there at the time.
Well, do you know anything about either Eric or Chip Reese that would be?
Well, I dealt with Chip Reese before I went to the dude with the horseshoe. 2 different times I did business with him.
When you say you did business, what do you mean?
I gave him hands. I gave him 3 of a kind, playing 7-card stud. 2 different times.
And you were compensated for?
So he gave me $100 bills. Yeah.
First of all, management is always involved. Management is always involved. He who has control to the management basically has the green light to go. You know, they supplement their income 5-6 times over with this. There's millions of dollars at stake. People are corruptible.
Let's start with Doyle Brunson. I think he's generally honest. Sometimes dishonest, always dishonest, always honest. Yeah.
Well, I've known him since '75, and with my dealings with him, and after I didn't deal in the casinos, I know people that do deal with him. Basically, what they do is, well, I'll give you an example. Up to date, a prominent young poker player, he plays in the game, and they win his money, and then he's a part of the team, which is Ted Forrest. Ted Forrest, at this time, is placed for Chip and Doyle.
Okay, was
But back in the 70s, I'm just giving an example, that's what they do. In other words...
wasn't Ted Forrest an honest player?
100% honest when he came to town.
He was honest.
Well, yeah, but they beat all the... They break the people because they're honest. Okay. And then they...
Can you give me some other names? Who's supplying the money if everybody's cheating?
Well,
Doyle Brunson.
Doyle is supplying the money, but they're beating people like Frank Mariani, Jerry Buss, Roger King. And Roger King just started playing the last year and a half or so, and he's a big loser.
What about Eric Seidel?
Eric Seidel. He was... Eric Seidel, from what we hear now, is broke. He was being staked by the other faction in Las Vegas, David Gray, Howard Lederer. Anyway, David Gray was supposedly on empty a few years back, and it's like this: you have your option of being broke or getting your money back fairly quickly. Human nature dictates that you get your money back fairly quickly, because when you're used to being a millionaire and having all these vast amounts of money, you do not want to go back to being a 3 and 6 player or something, or starting from the bottom. So you turn toward the dark side. Okay, it's converts. I used to make converts, they make converts. It's the way things work. I mean, you break somebody.
Okay, so you said David Gray and Eric Seidel, they were both honest at one time?
Yes, they were honest
and
at
then
one time.
they went broke, and then they get an offer, or what? I mean,
Eric
how does that
Seidel,
work?
as far as I know,
Does everybody go broke, get an offer, or what?
No, not everybody.
Pretty hard to overcome Chip and Doyle and a half a dozen other people.
Well, certainly they can't bring everybody into this that they
don't
break.
bring everybody into it, no.
But guys who have been around for a while, or 10 years or 5 years now, I mean, who have played and who showed that they have a brain and that they have the basic functions for being a card player. You know, these are not like shooting stars. I mean, these guys hung around for a little bit, so poker, first of all, does not want this exposed because it's very bad publicity for them. Okay, the cheaters do not want this exposed. It's very bad publicity for them. So now, who does want this exposed? I mean, here's a bunch of cheaters. Cheaters are going against cheaters. Okay, we're not happy with the situation. Okay, we've been shut out. We've been shut out. Here, if I try to play honestly, I can't. I've been branded a cheat, though I've never been caught. I have admitted here. I admitted to the LA Times that I participated in it. I have not cheated. It does not matter. I am still branded a cheater, and the casinos know who the cheaters are. I mean, plus poker itself covers everything up. Mansour caught the commerce. He caught more cards in there. He signs a deal. He says, I can't divulge what I caught. I mean, basically, management covers up. Management has always been involved. Management does not want the bad publicity. I mean,
you asked the question a minute ago about David Gray, and in the first 14 months when James Shahadi ran the card room at the Braves, in other words, Eric Drake was the manager, but he actually, in other words, he was like, what was he called, a little Caesar. I mean, he ran the card room, and he broke David Gray. You asked that question a minute ago, and so after that, David Gray went to the other side. Jim Albright. Jim Albright ran the World Series of Poker.
Are you saying there were marked cards at the World Series of Poker?
Yes, always.
More than you can count on both ends.
In the tournament?
Yes.
How do you know this? I mean, I never heard this before until this
Why
time.
would you hear this? Why would you hear this? We wouldn't hear what's going on in the Hollywood Park Casino. We would not hear what the casinos, but we hear this because cheaters talk to us. We're the only ones that can relate to each other. Cheaters, whether you're in it, whether you're involved or whether you're not involved, you still have ties because you've been on the road, you've done this, you've done that, you've been with these guys.
Don't you need to have the tournament director know about this, or is this done under the...
Well, we just told you, Jim Albright, how much higher can you go than Jack Binion? Basically, the Hall of Fame is the Hall of Shame.
Well, who do you mean specifically? Who in the Hall of Fame is not there?
Here, Doyle, Chip, Johnny Moss, Slim. Who else is on there? Maybe Wild Bill Hickok, because we don't go back that far. But the other ones, I mean, here, we either know or we have done business with everybody on that Hall of Fame. So, I mean, they're sticking Stu Unger up there. Okay, we're not saying he doesn't belong, but this guy grew up with Stu Unger, and Stu Unger was booked 98% of the time. I mean,
Bill, didn't you say, let me get this, didn't you say you were with Stu Unger the day that he did not come down to the Sunday?
I was also with him.
Were you there? Okay, well, tell me about that.
Well,
you were in his room, he was upstairs at the Horseshoe, and he was sick because of drugs, and he couldn't come down, right?
Right, he hadn't bathed, or he hadn't shaved, showered, changed his clothes, and stuff, and he smelled like a ghost. And he was smoking so much cocaine, he was incoherent. So he talked with a stutter, like that. Yeah. He couldn't function.
So he was, but you were trying to get him to go down and play?
Well, we were trying to get him to stop smoking coke so at least he could go down and play and have some credibility.
You said that he didn't always play honest. Is that correct?
he would, well, see his first even when he had money, he didn't have money. But people like Chip and Doyle would give him money to sit down and play because he was good advertising. People liked to play with him.
Yet he defended his title that 1 year. He just,
That was a fix. That was supposed to be a fix anyway.
The first one was a fix. First,
Yeah, the first one I understand was a fix. They had big bets with
Jackie Gone.
Jackie Gone.
Jackie Gone put
a lineup on.
it was Jackie Gone was betting on.
No,
too,
Jackie
or-
Gone was booking.
booking, and people got down on stage.
Oh, okay. And but there weren't a lot of contestants that year, right?
Again,
No, they were not.
I understand the year Jack Strauss.
Jack Strauss's World Series. Jack Strauss. Here, I have direct. Here, this is secondhand information. Jack Strauss, when he won the World Series, was they dumped him chips, and he received chips to stay in action. Okay, this is secondhand information from the guy who was a part of the Jack Strauss team.
Any names that I would recognize? Let's start over here with John.
Well, Chip Reed, Dora Bronson, the same name. They control everything in the high limits now.
What do you mean they control everything? What makes you think that?
Well, they, like I said a minute ago, the honest people, they break, and they either stay broke or they play for them.
So you have had a personal experience where you know that at least at some time they were not playing honest.
For years.
Since after 1973, when Chip had the card room, he didn't have the card room. It was Tony Spilatro's card room. He worked for Spilatro. He did everything Spilatro said.
Spilatro was involved in that card room
He ran the
when
card
Chip
room.
was there. I thought Chip came in afterwards.
He was just the front person. Chip was the front person. It was Tony Spilatro's card room.
Oh.
So Chip was associated with Tony Spilatro.
1,000,000%.
You know this for a fact?
1,000,000%. Eric Drake,
Johnny Chan, Ted Forrest, Yoshi Nakano, Jimmy Shahadi.
Now these guys told me that the only person they knew that from personal experience that they didn't know was involved in anything on the as far as the Hall of Fame, Poker Hall of Fame, was Bobby Baldwin, and you dispute that.
I disputed on it.
Well, we didn't say that.
He cannot let all this go on and not knowing that he's not an idiot.
So you're just supposing that he knows.
I am assuming because he's friends with it. They use him as for credibility in these large games.
They had Ted Forrest had a sleep camera, okay, or the dealer had a sleep camera. Ted Forrest had the earpiece in, okay. They were killing the last two cards, okay. The camera, they were being broadcast out. Doyle paid $500,000 for some new electronic equipment, okay. Now, if you pay $500,000, it's got to be a state of the art. It's got to be better than the Bellagio. If we went to a court of law, there would be markers would be called in, and all the cheats would have to come in. Here. And when 50 of us would say we've cheated with Chip and Doyle and Johnny Chan and this, here.
You can just name Johnny Chan. You hadn't named.
Oh, Johnny Chan. Johnny Chan's been barred. I mean, they've had here. They've caught him. Here, it's hushed up. I mean, Oceanside over here, his group, just at the Casino Caribe. I mean, there's over in Arizona. There's lots of incidents with Johnny Chan. I mean, it's like I told you. It isn't who. It's who isn't cheats.
Yeah, Johnny Chan at one time was honest, but after to a point when he was coming up, when he tournaments and everything, he got very friendly with James Shahadi, and they become best of friends, and he just was corrupt from that time.
Do you really know of anybody who's gone to jail or been for cheating at poker? We're not talking about cheating in the house and blackjack or anything like this. Nobody here, no big name. Obviously a little one, but a big name. You think poker is cheating free? I mean, poker is the most corrupt industry there is. I mean, the money is right there. Basically, this is tax-free money. I mean, you get to, nobody knows, and you even get to cheat the guys you're cheating with. I mean, it's that simple. I mean, but yet nobody is ever caught and nothing is ever done. It's all hushed up. The best place to scam or to cheat, even for the lower level cheats, is the World Series, because you see, it's nobody's built in. Anytime, it's like if somebody comes into a casino, if a bunch of new players come in, if they infiltrate, that's what you call infiltration for a scam. You got to come in like 1 week, and then the other guy comes in the next week, and the other guy. It takes a little while. But the World Series, you can all come in together. It gives you the opportunity. Yeah, well, he's from Florida, he's from Oklahoma, he's from Michigan, and you can do that. And it's like a harvest fest for them. They get to butcher everybody. That's the best. The World Series can feed you for the whole year. The World Series, there's so much cheating at the World Series. It's like they have a big smorgasbord, and it's like a bear goes into hibernation. They eat, because now they're going to go into hibernation.
Bobby Baldwin, when I had the marker scam before, after I went to the gaming commission first, because John Salazar told me the guy to go to see, which give him some money, and he said, one way or another, you'll be protected, which I did. Then the gaming commission told me to go talk to Bobby Baldwin and Mark. I can't think of his last name. He's the head of Treasure Island now. He's from New York. Well, I went with Bobby Baldwin, and we sit down and talked, and he said, okay, well, I'll go. Then he sends me back almost to the same gaming office that sent me to him. And he says, you're going to get 100% immunity, which the gaming officer told me, it'll never go to court, which it did. It made me look very bad because I could fire with the gaming commission. But if I hadn't went to the gaming commission with John Squatcho as person in the gaming commission, if I hadn't went, I would have went to jail.
What do you mean John Squatcho's person in the gaming commission?
He sent me to a gaming commission official to talk to me.
But that could be just somebody who's you. You're not saying that they was working for John Squatch.
I paid $25,000 cash. I had a lot of money at that time. I paid $25,000 to not go to jail.
You paid this to who?
A person that works in the gaming commission.
You paid this to a member of the gaming commission?
Let's get back to Bobby Baldwin. Bobby Baldwin was off. He says, you'll never be. He said, you don't have to make immunity. He's telling me to go to the same gaming official that I just already paid to come to him.
So you were when you paid this $25,000, you paid it under what pretext? What
that I would not go to jail. That I was cooperating with the gaming commission, which I didn't.
And they would give you good work.
I would get 100% immunity. I wouldn't go to jail. It
wouldn't bribe. It never go to bribe.
It would never go to. It would never go to trial. Okay, Bing. He sends me to Bobby Baldwin and Mark Spirit. I think not Spirit, but Mark something. Shore, Mark Shore. That's who it was. So I went to them, and they said, well, you cooperate with this gaming commission, which this is the guys that I paid money to that sent me to them to talk to them. And they had tapes of 30 days. They let the Golden Nugget let myself, Bill Shepard, and 8 or 10 other people steal so they could get a case against us for 30 days. They didn't need my cooperation with the gaming commission. The $25,000 made me a get out of jail free card, and the judge knew this. It did go to trial, which the gaming commission lied to me. It did go to trial, and I more or less I had to take the stand like I was a snitch, and basically that's what happened. Got 100% immunity, and Bobby Baldwin said I would never be barred out of the Golden Nugget or the Mirage, or any hotel that he had anything to do with because of this incident. Now, after the confrontation with Jimmy Shahadi at the Mirage, after 14 months, they won literally millions. They went to Johannesburg, South Africa. They went to London. They brought their own dealers. Chip, Doyle, Eric brought their own dealers to London. They played after hours there and won very many millions of dollars. And I was barred because of the confrontation.
You mean
with
they
Jimmy
brought
Shahadi.
their own dealers to a club or a private?
No, they brought their own. They brought people, 2 people that I know. They brought it over to England after the clubs closed at a certain hour in the morning. They had their private games in the suite, and they had a center dealer like you have here in the casino.
So how were they able to get those dealers into their game?
They ran the
Private
games.
They had
Private games. Well, you're the dealer.
Private games. After the casinos were closed in London.
Like Larry Flint's game.
Here's-
Same
here's-
thing.
John, who's Michael Connor? You mentioned him.
Michael
earlier.
Connor worked for Tony Slaughter. He was like his brains, because Tony Slaughter didn't know a lot about gambling, but he saw how much money there was involved with the dudes because of all the action. So he more or less, Michael Connor was like his brains when it came to the gambling and the conspiracy with Nick Simpson. Nick Simpson, you know, in other words, Tony couldn't get Nick all the way out, so he had to join him.
Okay.
Mike, just 3 days ago, this is a person from 1978 we're talking about. 3 days ago, he gives me a call on my cellular, and he asked me about you and what's going on here in California. He said Eric called him up with concern, you know, and I said, well, I want to go talk to Mike and whatever, you know, because I got a raw deal when Jimmy Shahadi had me barred out there, and you know, I said, I want to go talk to Mike. I'm going to tell him the truth. I said, you know, I don't really even care. He said, I don't blame you. But he said, Eric called him up and wanted to know what was going on.
And a few days before he got this call, I got a call from that.
He was talking about Eric Drake called Michael Connor.
In Costa Rica, and was concerned about this interview or whatever, this interview right now.
A lot of people are very concerned about this. I mean, this is the first time.
Well, does anybody want it to happen? I don't understand.
I want it to happen.
Why are they concerned about it if they're not on the other side?
Well, they're on the other side. I mean, this was common knowledge and common ground back then. I mean, you want some more players who were dishonest? Sam Grizzle, Archie Karros. Because we can.
We're talking about Archie, the
Karros.
legendary gambler who will risk anything against the odds on anything.
Yeah, first of all, he's a very good dice mechanic. These guys know more about him than I do.
He beat the golden nugget out of many hundreds of thousands of dollars, and sliding the dice. This is before he won all the money.
That wasn't just luck.
No. He killed one dice. There was a whole team. He had a whole team of people going right from Atlantic City to all over Vegas, killing one dice.
And he got cards from blackjack.
Is he broke now, or is he pumped up now?
No, Becky Binion's husband is backing him. In fact, he had an offer. I'll play anybody in the horseshoe the other day for whatever amount they want to play Raz. You know, but nobody wanted to take him up because they didn't know whether they're going to
He's
get
been involved with Jimmy Shahadi. He's traveled with Jimmy Shahadi. He knows a lot about the technology now. Archie Garrett, about the mark cards and the cameras and everything. And
Perry Green's another one.
Perry Green.
Perry Green is not on?
Oh,
Perry Green is.
Perry Green's
I worked for Perry Green in the 70s. So I went to Alaska in 76 to 79. But I came back and forth. I worked for Perry Green in Alaska. He has places right now in Alaska that are illegal, that are cheating. He plays gin rummy. He's cheating. He has the technology that the rest of you telling me about. He has that technology.
How do you guys know who has the technology?
People, it's human nature. People talk. Human nature.
well, here.
People that he does business with. He had Shahadi up there 5 years ago, and Shahadi had the earpiece was so tiny that he had to go to the hospital in the next town to get the earpiece out.
So we said that you don't believe Eric Seidel is any longer playing honest?
No, Eric Seidel was involved. Eric Seidel is broke now, and he's supposed to be working in Los Angeles. He's given
What
up
about
on
Huckseed? I've heard he was an honest player.
Huckseed was not he was an honest player until he went broke, and then he was in, but then they used him. Here, let's just say they used Huckseed. They staked him. Here, to what extent we really can't say because Huckseed is broke now. Obviously, they used him as a whore or something. Where here they stake them for credibility. You stake people for credibility, knowing here it doesn't really make any difference. So you give him 100,000 to play with. You know, he's got to play till you tell him he can't play, and then you break him. I mean, so basically you're not giving him anything, but if you play, let's do it. I mean, you can break him at will. You can break him at will.
Just an overview. Anything you want to add? Anything you left out?
Mike O'Connor's was one of the squadros. He ran everything. He was the brains, right? And everybody worked for him in squadron. So at this time, he's been in a lot of trouble in the 90s. He got out of jail and went to Eric Drake. Eric Drake said, I don't know, he told Mike O'Connor, he said, well, there's a real Highlander player here, and John Martino is very good friends with him. He says, and Mike O'Connor said, what do you want to do? And Eric, this is secondhand from Mike O'Connor, because he came to me and asked me about kidnapping his 2 kids. Okay? And I said, Mike, I said, you don't want to do something like that. Everybody always gets caught, right? So I never thought no more about it. 2 weeks later, the kid, his name is Howard, he's not a kid, Howard Mann. He's very wealthy contractor in Las Vegas. He calls me up and said, would you come to my house? I went to his house. He had 2 FBI guys there. And he had Mike O'Connor's picture in a little green Pinto with 2 other guys staking out his house. And he says, John, he said, I know you know this poker player. I said, yeah, well, from the news, one squadron. I said, he said, well, yeah, a friend of his was robbing a gas station here in Las Vegas, or a convenience store, and he got caught. So he came forth and said that Michael Collins is going to kidnap my 2 kids. The FBI will not arrest him until he's in the act of doing it. This is the way the FBI works. He says, I don't want this to happen. He said, I know you're not a part of it, which I wasn't a part of it. I didn't want to tell him at the time. Well, yeah, he came to me and I told him no. But in other words,
so who wanted to kidnap who?
Mike O'Connor was going to kidnap Howard Mann. This is all the FBI. It's all.
This is a written report on it.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, what did Eric Drake have to do with that?
He's the one that told Mike O'Connor to come to me, because I know where he lives and all about it.
Well, that doesn't mean Eric Drake knew anything about it, does it?
Well, he told me. Yeah, he said, well, I just got left Eric. He told me to come to you. He said, this Howard Mann. Yeah. So.
Okay, we want current information, but first we want to talk about John Bonetti and Jack.
You asked me about that.
Yeah, okay.
Phil Helmuth and John Bonetti came up to Jack Warner while I was sitting there, and Phil asked Jack Warner outright during the Four Queens tournament, tell me the truth, Jack, did you cheat us? Because you play so bad and I play so good, and yet I lost all the money and you won. So, did you cheat? Did you cheat us? And Jack just looked at him and laughed. And Phil said, Jack, I know other players that have cheated in the past, like Puggy, and it makes me sad. And Jack really said, both of us started laughing. And then John Bonetti said, Jack, back in Texas, I used to play together with some guys as a team, and we used to win the money, and so you could tell us. There's no hard feelings, but he never answered. But through the grapevine, I hear John Bonetti was an idiot in Texas, and he did nothing but lose his money. So that was.
But he had a tremendous tournament record.
Yes, he does.
But
what does that say for tournament?
So you think he plays on a square, so
Yeah.
No.
We would probably give him a thumbs up. Now, Bobby Baldwin, who never plays at the Bellagio, but played at the Mirage.
And
now, all of a sudden, and the Horseshoe. Now, they get the Regent Hotel. Who knows where the Regent Hotel is? Do you know where the Regent Hotel? Do you know where the Regent Hotel is? Do you? We don't know where the Regent Hotel is.
And they're playing
now, here, the Pipe. We read it in the paper. The Pipe. Now, who is the Pipe? Oh, they like it playing here because they can go up to their rooms and to play. And doesn't the Bellagio have rooms? Couldn't they go right up there? I'm sure the Bellagio has better rooms. They don't need the publicity. Okay, the things that happened at the Bellagio did happen. Okay, is it a coincidence that all of a sudden they go to the Regent to play, and Bobby Baldwin, who hasn't played at the Bellagio but played at the other place, but now it's coercion took over the Bellagio, so it isn't Steve Wynn. So Bobby Baldwin does not have the power that he did have with Steve Wynn. Okay, so why would they pick the Regent here? It only figures for us that it's real easy to get the cameras in and whatever else you need. Rail. Oh, and Farhad, there's another one.
in the last 20 years, not talking about California, but I'll give you an incident with somebody you know very well, Eric Drake and Puggy Pearson. They went up to with Ralph Morton. Ralph Morton carded them with marked cards. They were
Yeah.
what
In the Yakima, Washington.
It was like published, you know, it was in the newspaper. He put it basically. That's when Eric Drake was still at the Nugget, which he was doing everything at the Golden Nugget when he had the card room. But him and Puggy Pearson went up there and was cheating Ralph Morton with marked cards, and Ralph caught him. I mean, it's common knowledge. It's in the newspaper.
Here,
You have to, you know.
we know what we're telling you is the truth. I mean, it's been going on for 35 years that I've been involved in this world, and from the stories that I heard from the guys that I played with earlier, the old men, it's been going on for their 35 years, so that's 70 years. And you know, you read about Sophie Smith and everything like that. Here, it's always been crooked. Gambling is never honest. I mean, they're cheating roulette now. They cheat blackjack. They cheat baccarat. Whatever they can cheat, they're going to cheat.
It's all fun.
I mean, the cheaters. It's like a union. You have to understand. It's like a union, but we have no pension. But
Okay, let's cut it off there. That's